right, rounding out our morning availabilities with our Sprint Cup Series drivers, we're now joined by Brian Vickers, driver of the number 55 Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota. Brian, you're our defending champion here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Given the new chase format, this could be a big weekend for you guys. Tell us a little about the outlook for the 55 team.
Yeah, it could be. I hope it is. I've always enjoyed Loudon racing here, and it's been a great track to me over the years. Obviously, last year was a fantastic race for us, and I'm really proud of what this Aaron's Dream Machine team did. Putting the car in victory lane and giving me a car that was just absolutely incredible to drive, and hopefully we can do it again this weekend.
All right, we'll open up for questioning. Raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start with Mark.
Mark Arrow, PRN. Brian, just given this new chase format, how big a win would be, knowing that you won last year, knowing that there's no reason you can't win again, just how much pressure do you feel this weekend going into this event?
Good question. I don't feel a lot of pressure necessarily because it's here. I have a lot of excitement. I think we had a really good car here last year. We've proven to ourselves that we can win here, and we had a great test here a few weeks ago, so I really look forward to it. But there's so many variables in our sport. No matter how fast your car is, no matter how comfortable you are at the racetrack, there's a lot of things that are out of your control. So, you can't count your chickens till they hatch, and you just go out there and just do the best you can every lap.
There's so many. You talk about variables and different things in this sport. Not every racetrack is New Hampshire for you, where you won before, had a great test. Things are looking great. Don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. So, again, this is a giant opportunity, right? So, I mean, it doesn't create any kind of a different atmosphere on the team, whether for you, your crew chief, anybody?
I don't know. I guess I'll tell you in a couple days. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know that I feel any different this morning than I did at Daytona Friday morning or Thursday morning, whenever it was. I guess I haven't walked in the truck yet. I'll see the atmosphere in the truck here in a minute. But certainly, anytime you have a good test somewhere, you're excited. And we had a great test at Pocono too, and had a fast car. Just wasn't our day. So I don't know. We'll see.
Is there a lot of pressure to win right now? You've got 8 races left.
The question was, is there a lot of pressure to win right now? 8 races left. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's certainly pressure to win. I think the chase is starting to form up, especially in the win category. And we were in the chase for a long time via points, and we just had a few bad weeks, and now we're not. Or I don't even know if we are right now. Just barely out. So, there's still that possibility, and that's something we're not going to lose sight of. But a win would solve both problems, and that's what we're focused on. Unfortunately, there's like 42 other guys out there that are focused on it too, so that's what makes it challenging.
Go to the back.
Alan Lesselson, the union leader. Brian, can you take us through last year again, just the emotion of the day and the emotion of the win and stuff, from what you've been through and what it felt like, and all the other drivers who were so joyful and stuff actually that you had won.
Yeah, of course. It's great to be sitting back here again in this room. It brings back good memories. To be able to get the win here last year at New Hampshire was huge for me in a lot of ways, and this team, obviously, to be in victory lane. To be in victory lane with a new team and a new crew, and to accomplish that for Aaron's and Michael and Rob and everything they'd done for me in Toyota. So, obviously the elephant in the room is the fact that I had so many health issues and I was out of the car and, was told I may never race again. And then to be able to get back into a car at all was a huge accomplishment for me personally. And then to get back in victory lane was just kind of put it over the top. So the only thing to be better is to win the championship, and that's our goal.
Nate Ryan, USA Sports. Brian, you guys tested here, and so did Hendrick and Childress and Ganassi. I think that's it. I think there were 4. This year, especially with all the rules changes, does having, you said the test went really well, does having that kind of advantage coming in here, and when you guys only get the limited practice time, does that give you guys and those teams a significant edge going into Sunday? Or?
I guess yes and no. I have mixed feelings about testing in general. I mean, if we were the only person that got to test here, then I'd feel really good about it. But seeing how everyone tested here, really the only difference is that the teams just spent a whole lot of money. I mean, that's pretty much the difference. I don't know that the outcome is going to change. Like, if we all come here and test, then we're all essentially probably making gains. I mean, maybe one group makes a few more gains than the other group, but I don't know that the outcome changes a lot, and I certainly don't think the fan experience changed a lot. It's just the teams spend millions of dollars, and we'll never see that money back.
Do you think like the Hendrick teams, like the Stewart Haas cars, have all that stuff now, so pretty much everybody's got the same info?
The bigger teams certainly have maybe a little bit more advantage. I mean, Hendrick, Haas, the 8-car behemoth, I mean, that's kind of one team. They share all their information. So maybe they have a slight advantage. But in essence, when every team comes to test, I don't – I mean, my thoughts on testing in general, I just don't know that it's the best use of resources. But you kind of have to go because everyone else is going, right? But as far as the end product on Sunday, I don't know that if everyone's going to test, it's kind of changing a lot. If you come test and no one else tests, then you're going to probably make gains on them. But as far as the rule changes and how people have adapted to that, obviously, the Hendrick Haas team has an advantage because they have a lot more cars than anyone else sharing information. That would be about the only advantage. Yeah.
Ryan, Nicholas Tito with YankeeRacer.com. What are your thoughts on the Race Team Alliance's formation and the fact that you have Rob Kaufman elected as a leadership role?
Well, I don't know a lot about it yet, to be honest with you. I mean, I think we're all kind of waiting and seeing. I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit for the teams to save money on, and they should. They've talked about, from what I've heard, whether it's hotel rooms or rental cars and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's great. How it unfolds, I guess, is yet to be determined. As far as Rob being the chairman, I hope that's an advantage for us. I doubt it will be. I don't think it has any bearing whatsoever. But again, I don't really understand the dynamic of the RTA yet, and I'm sure there's a board, and I'm sure they all have say, right? I don't know that Rob being the tip of the spear has any bearing for us, other than I think it's good for the group. Rob's a really smart guy and a hard worker, and will bring a lot to the table.
Go to Dan and then Jason.
Dan Gelson, the Associated Press. Brian, your health issues, is that something you still face daily? Are you on medications and things like that? And how much of a concern or realistic concern is it that these kind of blood clots happen again? Is it something you live I don't know if live in fear is the right word, but live with the thought that this could realistically happen again?
Certainly something that crosses my mind. I wouldn't say that I linger on it or I, let it kind of affect my daily life. You just kind of have to move on. I certainly, am conscious of it, and I make decisions based upon the fact that, that I could have another clot. Like if I'm on a long flight, I'll get up and walk around. I'll stretch. I'll keep my legs moving. I won't just sit there for long periods of time. But when I'm in the race car, I mean, all I'm thinking about is how can I get through this next turn as fast as possible and win the race? I don't really give it much thought at all. I think the reality is that we're all, we kind of do a lot of, like, as you grow up, especially when you're young and you do a lot of dumb things, you seem to bounce off the walls and you seem to be pretty resilient. And obviously we crash at 200 miles an hour, so the human body is very resilient in some ways, but it's also very fragile in others. And, I could have another clot just as easily as someone else could have another medical problem. Like, we're all kind of fragile in our own ways. And I think you just learn to live in the moment of every day and just appreciate all of it and focus on the task at hand, do your best, try to make good decisions with your health, and just keep charging forward.
Jason King, WMUR. Some drivers are historically bad here, others are good, but even still, is the feeling in the garage area that, especially when you consider the chance to get into the chase, that when you come here on any given Sunday, anybody can win?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, as a competitor and as a driver, when you show up to any racetrack every weekend, you always show up like with the notion that you can win. And if you don't show up with that feeling, then why even show up? Certainly some tracks, because of past history, you feel like you may be better or worse at, and some teams may feel like they're better and worse at. But a lot of it changes over time. As teams deploy resources and engineering and effort towards a particular track or a particular style of track, short track, big tracks, whatever they are, then that performance can kind of come and go over time, respective to the other teams. And there was, when I was at Red Bull, short tracks weren't our thing. We were a brand new team coming out of the box, and we had to devote resources to one thing. We couldn't devote them to everything, and we devoted them to 1.5-mile tracks. To start with, because there was it was mostly 1.5-mile tracks. We ran okay at short tracks, but we never really. We weren't like consistently contending for a win week in and week out at short tracks. But then when I got to MWR, and they had a really good short track package, week in and week out, we were always contending for a win at a short track. That was kind of our strong suit. So, that can kind of ebb and flow over time. I mean, just because you were good or not good in the past doesn't mean you're going to be good or not good in the future. And it just depends on where you focus and how you allocate those resources.